Greetings and bienvenue, midnight crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast, and welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
What is the scariest thing to ever happen to you? Mine is not very good. I've been lurking in these threads these last few weeks and I just love reading people's personal experiences. B15. Going on a trip to Minnesota with my grandparents. Stay the night at their house. Leaving the next morning very early, like 2 to 3 a.m. Sleep in the guest room. Go to bed at like 9 to get enough sleep. Wake up around 12:30. Sweating, slightly dazed and confused as to why I woke up, pretty heavy sleeper. Suddenly it hits me. The fucking bed is violently shaking back and forth. Fuck that. .jpg. Quickly get up. Bed seems to stop. Decide to go to the bathroom, just imagining things. Lay back down. Get comfy. Bed starts fucking shaking again. Nope. MP4. Run out of bed and go get a drink. Debating on if I should go back. Decide to try one more time. Get into bed. No shaking. Lay down. The bed begins to shake. Noped out into the living room. Watched shitty late night TV freaking to shit until grandparents woke up. Never told anyone. Spooked to this day. Still don't know what was causing it.
B20. Driving from Washington to Idaho. Get stuck in traffic at 11 o'clock at night. BF and I decided to take a different way to avoid the traffic. GPS told us to take this really dark road with no street lights, no other cars, nothingness. Proceed up this horrible road. Start to get a bad feeling in my gut. We take a slight bend going about 50 miles per hour. A girl was just standing on the side of the road staring. She was about 10 or 12 years old. We drive a bit more down the road. There she is again. BF and I just look at each other. WTF.jpg. This road is on a cliff, it just drops off 3 feet from the road. We take another bend. There she is again. Heart is racing. She runs in front of the vehicle. I yell at my BF to just hit her. Fuck that noise. .jpg. She vanishes. At the end of the road she is standing at the stop sign, waiting. We get closer and this awful grin just appears across her face. Nope. .jpg. We decided to run the stop sign and continue on our trip. Never ever again will I take a creepy pitch black road that's on a cliff again.
Live in small rural town out in the bush. Be me at 16 during my teen stoner phase. One Friday night me and some mates meet up at the local school to have a few cones. Prepping the bong. When what sounds like a massive explosion goes off somewhere in the school. Realize someone's actually setting off a shitload of fireworks from somewhere in the school. We're all about to bail, but one of my mates spills about $50 worth of weed into the grass as he's getting. We spend about 10 minutes trying to pick up all the stuff, manage to recover most of it, and we're almost at the entrance when we see 2 police cars coming into the school car park. Heart stops for a second and we all freak the fuck out. We try to hide, but they've already seen us and are getting out of their cars and running into the school. In the panic I get split up from my 2 mates and end up jumping the school's back fence and sprinting into the bush along an old hiking track. One of the cops comes after me. I can see his torch shining through the trees, but after a while he gives up and it's just me in the pitch black. My phone at the time was some old Nokia brick, and its screen was my only source of light. Don't want go back and risk getting caught, so I just follow the track and keep heading into the bush. Was about 9 p.m. when the fireworks went off, and I followed the track until almost 11 p.m. So I'd been wandering through the bush for about 2 hours by this point. I'd been along this a few years ago and remembered vaguely that it crossed another path at some point which would lead back into the town. Get to the end of the track and there's a small stream. Realize I've gone way too far, but I'm pretty sure that I know which stream this is, and that if I follow it, I'll end up at an all the causeway a few kilometers out of town. So this is where the whole experience became even worse. My phone dies while I'm following the stream and I begin to hear voices in the distance, just really faintly, like they're really far away. It kind of sounds like they're singing. So now I'm really fucked. It's pitch black and I'm blindly creeping along the bank of this stream, trying not to trip or walk into a tree. I'm hoping that if I follow the creek I'll pass the creepy singing. By this stage the cops and fireworks seem like a distant memory, but the voices are making me really uneasy and I'm realizing that the creek is taking me closer to them, rather than further away, but it's my only path so I keep following it. As I get closer, the singing is getting really loud and I can start to make out lights in the distance. By this stage one realizes that the singing is actually what sounds like a group chant or something, but it's super intense to the point where at some stages it almost sounds like people screaming. As I follow the stream the lights become brighter and I can make out a few houses in a clearing through a distant tree line, but I haven't reached the town yet. This appears to be just a random group of houses in the middle of the bush. Then I realize where I am, and that I've been following the wrong stream and am now heaps far from town. I remember that recently my dad and some of his co-workers were up in arms about some new religious commune which set themselves up in the area. My parents referred to it as the cult and that we should all stay away from there. Apparently these guys were a bunch of nut job fanatics. You always heard rumors about them back in town involving rituals and all that crap, but I always figured it was a bunch of bullshit. People loved to gossip in this town. Everyone knew everyone else, so rumors usually spread very quickly. So now I'm feeling really creeped out, but I realize that the road out of the commune leads back to the main road, so I follow the tree line around the edge of the clearing to try to get to the exit. Then the central area of the commune comes into view. They've got a massive bonfire set up and there's a crowd gathered in the center, still doing their fanatical chanting. From this distance I can clearly hear what they're saying, but it's not in English, which just makes it seem ominous as fuck. By now my heart is racing. As I edge further around the tree line I get a better look into the central clearing, and I make out 3 girls separated from the crowd, standing at the center of the crowd near the bonfire. Kinda hard to tell from a distance, but I looked like they were sobbing, hard to tell over the chant. As a rough guess I would say they looked like they were in their late teens or early 20s. Suddenly, the chant stops and so do I. I'm scared they'll hear me if I keep moving, so I get down and just watch them for a bit. In the absence of the chanting I can easily make out the pleading and crying of the 3 girls at the center of the crowd. Then these 3 guys come up to the girls and just start tearing their clothes off, throwing them into the fire as they do so. Now the crowd starts going feral at the girls, screaming. By now the girls are screaming and begging for help. I feel like I should do something, but I'm frozen in fear and too much of a pussy to do anything. By this stage I'm almost crying in fear. I feel like I'm about to witness murder. The crowd is taking turns beating these girls, just kicking and hitting them while they're laying in the fetal position. Some old hag with a cane is really getting into it, screaming names at them while she does it. Another has heated her stick in the fire and is now poking one of the girls with it. The worst part was the screaming. I cannot describe with words the horrible feeling you get when listening to someone screaming in agony. As horrible as it sounds, I realize that this is my chance to get away. I follow the tree line and head towards the exit. The screaming and angry shouts of the crowd are still booming from the central clearing. The small road leading from the commune goes up a steep hill. As I sprint up it I see the main road in the distance. I turn around for one last look at the commune before I turn onto the main road. I almost shit myself when I notice that there's someone standing down there just staring up straight at me. I don't look at him for another second, I just turn around and bail. The guy shouts as soon as he sees me.
"This is private property, don't you fucking run from me."
As I'm running down the road, I can hear another set of footsteps coming after me, so I figure that the guy is coming after me. It must have been the adrenaline or something, because at that moment I sprinted madly from what seemed like a good 5 minutes straight. After that, To my relief, I couldn't hear any more footsteps. There wasn't a single car on the road the whole journey home. By the time I reached the town, it was almost 5 a.m. I felt dead by this point, practically ready to collapse, but I needed to get home and call the police about what was going on at the commune. For all I knew, those girls were still being bashed. I had just turned the corner into my street when out of nowhere I got shoved to the ground. I never saw the guy cause he shoved my face into the ground. He spoke to me though.
Tell anyone and I'll fucking kill you. Now count to 30, then go home and pretend this never happened.
That was 6 years ago now, and I've never told anyone since. I left the town to move to the city when I was 18. That night seriously fucked me up. I have some serious paranoia issues now. I went out again to smoke some weed a few weeks after this happened, and I had a full-blown panic attack. I haven't touched the stuff since. My 2 mates I was with on the night got caught by the cops with all the weed, had to go to an anti-drug counseling session, so nothing too serious. Looking back, I would take cops over creepy bush cultists any day.
I got one. Remember it like it was yesterday. Woke up late at night. Meh, played vidya until I get sleepy again. C6 tall figure, silhouette was all I could make out. Thinks it's bro. Yo, can you move so I can do some shit on the computer? No response. Won't let me get to the computer. Looking creepy as fuck. Panic.jpg. Bro? Fucking turns to face me. Ain't my damn bro. Faceless by the looks but too dark to see. Can only make out indents in the face area. We're getting robbed? Listen, whatever you want, my money, my computer, take it, just don't hurt me. Things fucking gone. Poof, nothing. WTF. I have another story that happened a few nights ago that I'll share tomorrow when I'm not spooked solid. I'm awake, but here's the main reason why I was scared. It was literally a few inches from where I was standing, so one could say I was face to face with whatever it was. But the other incident was in a motel while I was on a business trip a week ago. Late at night. Flight took too long, so I almost didn't get a room. Sketchy area, a lot of break-ins or muggings. I'm used to that at home and know it won't happen to me. Don't unpack my things because I'm leaving in the morning. About to sleep, tired as hell. Can't go to sleep. Looking around the hotel room, kinda small. Bed, 2 chairs, small table, sink outside the bathroom. Next to the sink is a mini fridge. Looking at the doorway connecting the bedroom to the sink area. Sink turns on. Da fuck? Get up to turn it off. Off. Whatever. Go back to bed only to be unable to sleep. Just chill on my phone, I guess. Reach for the phone when I see it. Like the more recent story, all I can see is a silhouette, but not as tall. Peeking from the sink area, looking at me. O.AG. Ignore it or try to. Another leaning against the door, blocking my only escape besides a glass window. Start to grab my sheets and pull them over me. Scared like a child. A third, the other 2 are still very present, standing at the edge of my bed. All 3 staring into my soul. My stuff's in the corner over there, if you want it. I believe if I'm getting robbed, I might as well not die. All 3 are staring at me. Start to get up to look for something to protect me. One at the edge of my bed is reaching for me. Oh fuck no. Reach for phone? Turn it on to call the police. Bright as the sun.jpg. Everything's gone. Fuck yeah. Handheld son to the rescue. Lost a good pair of underwear in the fight though.
17-year-old me in El Salvador with my family. It's New Year, so my whole family is at the house just celebrating and shit. Uncle starts telling everyone a story about the lady in white. He's convinced that this lady is white, comes in very often and haunts the house. At the time I'm very skeptical, so I started making fun of this lady. I put a white cloth over my head and start screaming, "I'm the lady in white," for the whole night and make family members laugh. Anyway, fast forward to about 3 hours later, it's 3 a.m. Everyone is going to bed, so I do too. The adults sleep in the rooms and the kids sleep in the living room and floors. Suddenly I get cold as hell as I'm trying to sleep, so I get up and realize the door to the backyard is open. I wake up my cousin to go close the door and he says all right. Suddenly I hear him let out a weird noise and run back to me. I tell him WTF happened and he says women in white are outside. Don't believe him. Get up and go check myself. I was about 2 feet away from the door and I saw a lady in all white walk across the yard. She wasn't glowing, she wasn't transparent, it just looked like a lady dressed in all white walking across the yard. I scream 'cause I'm a fucking bitch. Everyone comes out of their rooms and asks what was happening. Tell them what I just saw and my uncle looks satisfied and had a "I told you so" look. All the kids end up sleeping in their parents' rooms because they were scared. At night we heard plates breaking and things being thrown in the kitchen. When we went to look, there was nothing there. Everything was the way we left. My parents decided to leave and we slept in a hotel that night. I got a lot of stories if anyone wants to hear. Here's another one. My mom is Colombian and my dad is Guatemalan, but he was raised in El Salvador. Both of them were raised in very rural areas, so there's a lot of freaky stuff happening. In Colombia, I'm about 18. I live in the countryside and there's absolutely no streetlights, so when I say it's dark I mean it's fucking dark. You literally can't see your hand in front of your face, forced to take a flashlight. No one usually walks outside at 11 p.m., but we're on vacation visiting family. We were at my uncle's house about 15 minutes away from my grandma's house. My mom and I finally decided to walk back to my grandma's house. We have our flashlight, but halfway to the house, it goes out. It's dark as fuck, but we don't care. My mom knows those streets like the palm of her hand. Suddenly we hear very faint crying in the distance. It was very disturbing, especially since it seemed like we were walking towards it. The crying gets loud as hell all of a sudden, almost as if it's right next to us. I tell my mom and she says, "Shut up, keep walking." We eventually get home and I ask her about it, but she doesn't want to speak. I ask my grandma and she tells me the story of La Llorona, which is, basically, some ghost bitch who won't stop crying and will follow you all the way home. I don't know what to think of it, but still pretty fucking creepy. I have more if anyone is interested. This one also takes place in Colombia. I'm 18 and at my uncle's house. They have had this really weird thing happening every day for the past 2 years. Every day at the same exact time, 6:09 p.m., they hear a loud banging on the roof. The roof is made of aluminum and it's flimsy, so if anything hits it hard, it will break. Stay at his house for a week. The first day I hear it while eating dinner and I get frightened and go outside. There's absolutely nothing. Same with the second day. Same with the third day. Finally ask my uncle and he tells me the story, so I get curious. Fourth day I wait outside until 6:09 and hear the loud bang but see absolutely nothing. I'm fucking baffled. Same with the fifth day. The sixth day I get a ladder and climb it. I watch the roof and I hear the noise. Loud as fuck at 6:09 with absolutely no explanation to how it's happening. I gave up after that because I can't step on the roof. It would literally break through if I got on it. Till this day I have no fucking idea what it was.
I have a story my grandma shared with me a while back. Grandma grew up in rural Mexico. She lived across the street from a beautiful park with a public swimming pool in the center. She could spend all day in the water, she loved to swim. Suddenly, she awoke one night. Had the undying urge to go for a swim. She thought about it for a second or two and decided that going for a quick swim would help her go to sleep. She put on her swimsuit, grabbed a towel, and stepped outside. It was a very dark, quiet night. She crossed the street and slowly made her way into the park. With every step she took, the lamp posts spread around the park slowly started getting dimmer and dimmer. She felt as if 1,000 eyes were watching her. She shook all of this off as she was just being nervous. Only the pale blue light from the swimming pool was the only light illuminating the area around her. She set down her towel next to the water and dove right in. She swam peacefully for a few minutes when out of nowhere, a fucking dog appeared from the shadows. She peered at it and tried to examine it from the water. The fur of this dog was darker than the shadows surrounding it, it had bright glowing red eyes, and it reeked of sulfur, it smelled like a volcano. The dog jumped into the pool and swam full speed directly at her. She lifted herself out of the water as quickly as possible, and made a full-on sprint towards her house across the street. As she ran, she could hear the pounding of this hellhound's paws behind her getting closer and closer. She was getting more and more fatigued, and was about to collapse because of all the sprinting. With whatever strength she had left, she turned around and screamed at the dog, "What do you want from me?" The dog stopped and whispered nothing. My grandma stood there in complete shock as the dog vanished into the shadows where it first appeared.
Be visiting Grandma's house in El Salvador. Lots of nightlife out there. It's also pitch fucking black because no fucking street lights. Dark as fuck. Have to go take a piss. Walk down towards the bathroom, which is its own fucking building for whatever reason. Floor is tile, and I dunno, I guess to comfort myself. I used to kind of skip so my feet would always slap the tile. Get to the bathroom, and open the door. I hear slapping. What .jpg someone else is skipping down the hall. Hear what kind of sounds like my little cousin's voice asking me if I want water or to go to the water or some shit. Can't really speak, or understand Yucatec too well. What the fuck are you talking about, Gabriel? There's someone much too tall to be my cousin standing in the grass. This guy repeats in near perfect mimicry of my cousin's voice. Do you want to come to the water? No, what the actual fuck? Scream for dad. Dad freaks out. Guy is still telling me to go towards the water. Or if I want water. Dad runs out and sees the guy, and starts screaming. Grandpa starts lecturing me in fucking Yucatec about how I need to let out blood to purify the evil that taints me. Grandpa starts telling me all sorts of shit about how it won't go away until I do the ritual. Dad tells Grandpa to fuck off and flies me back to the States. Haven't been back since, but I never could forget that night. Be forced to clean temple, after once again being forced to follow morning rituals, and yet again having to dress traditionally for festivals. Go clean the temple interior. Dust the halls, and polish the idols. God fucking damn it. I hate this job. You have no idea how much fucking dusty these fucking temples get. Head in and start dusting. Realize that someone in the day staff, or maybe some tourist, moved one of the little clay doll idols. Remember all these stories about how it's great disrespect to let them just fall face flat. Fuck it, the halls are bigger. I'll save that for last. I start hearing goats bleating. What? Hear muffled Yucatec. Sounds kinda like Grandpa. Hear the sound of stone scraping. Recognize that as the front door. Nope.jpg. Fucking book it towards door because panicky as fuck teenage boy. Door is open but there's fucking overgrowth everywhere. What? The jungle isn't this fucking dense. Too scared to step out. Hear more weird noises. Bleating, hooting, All kinds of weird noises and shit. Run back inside. Stone scrapey sound is still there. Run faster, and I get lightheaded as fuck. Wake up in the main office. I had been gone for nearly 3 hours. Grandpa found me in one of the halls. Clay Idol was chilling in the hallway entrance.
I got a few stories, and they're all at my grandma's house. Live in the same building as my grandma. We live on the 6th floor, she lives on the 2nd one. If something happens, she can just call and we're there in a few seconds. Everyone has always been sure that the spirit of my grandpa I never met it's there. Never did something spooky or incredible. When I was little and playing with Legos, I would get the feeling of being watched, and if I couldn't find some pieces they would just be on the coffee table after a few minutes. Even if I didn't find them myself. Sometimes his old radio would just start playing, but this was only when there was the Police Greatest Hits CD inside. This started happening as soon as I listened to that CD the first time and loved it. Feel secure when at my grandma's house, places peaceful and such. A year ago, like 2 a.m., telephone ringing. Old woman from the 3rd floor, says she heard screaming from my grandma's house. We rush there to find my grandma on the sofa watching TV, obviously freaked out. Sorry it took so long, but I thought doing a little map of the house would have been useful now. It's not that great, but it's kinda like this. Green squares are doors and windows. We ask her what's wrong. Doesn't want to talk about it. Think she got robbed since another woman got mugged a few months before at another floor. Nothing's missing. At some point she bursts out crying. Tells us she woke up feeling watched and saw a pale greenish face a few inches from her face. Looked really old, almost rotting. When she screamed, her face disappeared. Told her about sleep paralysis and such. She agreed it could have been that, and asked me to sleep at hers. Since it's something I often do, except sleep in her bed. Now as you can see, the bathroom and her bedroom are facing. Since the doors were open, it was last summer and really hot. You could actually see the mirror reflecting the bathroom, the entrance and the bedroom. Wake up to piss. Glance at the mirror while walking towards the bathroom. See the same face again, not facing me but a few inches from my grandma's face, looking at her. Turn around, face is gone. Now, obviously not sleep paralysis. Spend the rest of the night with my laptop looking out for the face. Next day, tell her about it. We agree it's not sleep paralysis if I could see it too. She says the face looked kinda familiar. Dig up family photos and shit like that. Can't find shit, but at some point my grandma screams, "Got it." Says it looked like a man she knew years ago when she had a plastics factory. When my mom gets home, try to call him. Nothing. While they try to contact his family, I look up his name on the internet. Apparently he was some sort of a big guy with a racing car collection of like 300 plus vehicles. People on forums talking about him. Even international forums. Still, can't find shit. My mother calls me and my grandma at some point. Said she called his son and he told her the guy died back in 2008. They come over our house to get a coffee, and that's about it. Never seen a face again. Another night, sleeping at my grandma's because her apartment is right next to the road, so white sound. Also, it's more peaceful. Be in MUH bed chilling with my laptop. Suddenly feel the urge to take a look at the road. Go to balcony too, just stay here chilling. Road full of hookers, see one standing at the corner just looking at nothing. Look up in the direction she's staring. Some tall guy, probably 2 meters, in the distance. Walks like a fucking robot or one of those old walking toys. Really uncanny, also can't see shit because he's walking away from all light sources. When he's at like 5 meters from the hooker, she screams and runs away. As soon as she screamed, the guy froze in place and he didn't move for a good 5 minutes. Then he snapped out and ran away too. Same thing happened a week later. Now there are almost no hookers left and the owner of a shop nearby installed cameras.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel as more Greentext will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.
Oh.